Eskamani, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Jock, and Snyder. Your bill defines a net zero policy as a policy, quote, designed to achieve a balance between the total amount of greenhouse gas emitted to the atmosphere with an equal amount removed from the atmosphere. So for clarity, does this mean that policy programs or initiatives that simply seek to reduce carbon emissions but not necessarily balance them with carbon removed from the atmosphere are not included in your definition of net zero policy?
Representative Jock, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is correct. That's not included in the definition of net zero policies.
Representative Eskamani, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If this bill were to pass, will it still be the state energy policy that state government and local governments should still advance energy efficiency, affordability, resiliency, and cost savings as provided in Florida Statute 403-021?
Representative Jock, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is correct. This does not override the chapter in Florida law that currently oversees energy policy.
Representative Eskamani, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would your bill forbid a local government from a program or policy, just for example, of installing solar panels, energy storage, or enhance building energy efficiency if the purpose is purely to advance energy efficiency, affordability, resiliency, or cost savings to the taxpayer, consistent to the Florida chapter we just mentioned?
Representative Jock, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In that situation, not necessarily. Of course, we have to review every situation as it comes. But if it's solely for energy efficiency, which aligns with state policy currently, that is allowed. If it's implementing saying that we only have to have one energy source, it would run afoul. But of course, energy efficiency would be allowed even if this bill passes.
Representative Eskamani, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for that rep. And for clarity, I've shifted to now Chapter 377-601. Would your bill forbid a local government, for example, using government funds for installed solar panels, energy storage, energy efficiency, for et cetera, if the purpose was to save the taxpayer money as consistent with Chapter 377?
Representative Jock, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Similar to the previous question, that goal would totally be allowed. But if you're dictating that only one source of energy has to be used, that's where it would be in conflict with the law.
Representative Eskamani, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If your bill would still allow for those policies and programs that incidentally reduce carbon but are justified by a reference to cost savings or resiliency, isn't this bill just a regulation of how the policy is expressed or described by the state or local government? So can local governments still pursue these programs if the express is not intent towards carbon neutrality or net zero?
Jock, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So it's two things, right? So there's the definition of net zero and the labeling of it, which would run afoul of the bill, but also actions speak louder than words, of course. So if they're still doing the same things that is in violation of the bill, they would be in violation. But if there's an incidental reduction of carbon or any sort of environmental objectives, that would not necessarily run afoul of the bill. It's only when you're going down to the specific prohibitions outlined, such as taxes, assessments, fees, and so forth, to achieve a net zero policy goal.
Representative Eskamani, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If carbon reduction was a motivating factor for adopting a policy, but not the only motivating factor, maybe a lesser factor, how would that run afoul of your legislation or not?
Representative Jock, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So when it comes to carbon reduction, the only thing that would be in violation if you're trying to offset by removing an equal amount of carbon that is emitted, which is the definition of net zero, but reducing carbon, there would be nothing wrong with that.
Representative Eskamani, you're recognized.
Thank you. I'm going to use these 5 minutes, Mr. Speaker. Your bill forbids government entities from using public funds to join organizations that adopt net zero policies. Is this prohibition prospective only? In other words, if an organization has adopted such policy years ago but no longer supports it, would the state agency or local government be allowed to maintain membership in that organization?
President Jock, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the effective date is July 1st, 2026. So if on that date, that organization that they are in a contract with has these policies, then it would be a violation. But if it's something they had in the past and they don't currently have, when the bill takes effect, it will not be a violation.
Time for questions.